Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess and today I thought that I would choose book characters that I connect to Riverdale quotes that I hate more than anything. I don't know why I chose to do this. So I started watching Riverdale when it first came out because of my obsession with Cole Sprouse. And the first season is good. Don't let anyone tell you different. Then it goes downhill immediately and it becomes the worst thing I've ever seen with my own two eyes. But at this point, it got to the point of where like I just couldn't stop watching because I had invested too much time and the memes were so good and I love Betty. So honestly, I just kept watching, which I regret now because the last season was, oh my god, so terrible. Now that I have all this information in my head, I thought, why not use it and make it book related? So that's what I'm going to be doing. Honestly, for this I could have used every single thing that has ever come out of Veronica's mouth, but I switched it up a bit. If you don't know, if you haven't seen Riverdale, number one, good for you. I'm very jealous. If you have, I'm so sorry. So let's start off with a doozy, an iconic one.
I dropped out in the 4th grade to run drugs to support my nana.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football.
So for this, I chose Brad from Perks of Being a Wallflower. I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory if you've read or seen the movie, but everything's going on with all these other people and everyone has all this shit going on and he's just like, I want to be a jock and play football. Fuck the gays. That's basically his whole personality. And yes, he's dealing with his own inner demons, but so is Archie. And yet Archie had the nerve to say something like that, so it's like, okay.
And Archie and Betty and Jughead.
So for this one, I chose the entire band from Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Daisy Jones and the Six is about a fictional band from the 70s, kind of Fleetwood Mac-esque. It's written as sort of a oral history on the band. So it's written like mostly in dialogue of just quotes and interviews from the different members. And it's an ensemble cast of characters. They each have their own issues and storylines, but they come together, they make music, they recognize each other, and they sing about stuff. And I guess that is what made me think of Here's to Ronnie and Archie and Betty. Anyway, so yes. Next we have another iconic one.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in. Have you ever seen me without this stupid hat on? That's weird.
For this I have two. One, I chose Bella from Twilight. An OG, I'm not like other girls. She was edgy, she was different, she was a weirdo who didn't fit in and didn't want to fit in. And that was basically her main personality trait through the whole book. So when I hear Jughead speak, I really think of Bella often and her weirdness. So quirky. Next, I chose Kaz from Six of Crows. He is the main character. Like, it's an ensemble cast, but he's like sort of the leader of the group. And his whole thing is, just like Jughead was like, Betty, you can't be with me. I wear a hat. Kaz is basically like, Inej, you can't be with me. I hold this cane. But the cane is actually all of his childhood trauma. But, so he does have that. So does Jughead. I talked about Six of Crows in my last video, but it's a heist book set in a fantasy world. And he's like the leader. He doesn't have any magical powers. He's just sort of like the dark, brooding leader who has the troubled past and is like very dark and mysterious and thinks he's not good enough for his love interest, Inej. And he is very, I'm a weirdo, I don't fit in, I don't want to fit in. And I respect that about him. Maybe it's my internalized misogyny. Could be. But I do like him more than I like Bella from Twilight. But he's pretty awesome. It gets annoying. I'm like, okay, we get it. You have troubles, but so does she, so just get over it. Whoops. I love you, Kaz. So next,
Saw our whole future.
Because we're endgame, Archie.
this I've chosen none other than Feyre from A Court of Mist and Fury. Maybe. Hi, Nick. Thank you for texting me. You're probably watching this. Especially in this book and in Court of Wings and Ruin, if you've read it, she is the main character and she falls in love with this guy, Reese. And once she falls in love with him, the rest of the book is just, he is my mate. He is my everything. He is my forever. They are endgame. It's set in a fantasy world, not very modern. So there's no way he would say endgame. I wish Veronica didn't say it, but she did. So here we are. But Feyre, every 4 seconds, it's, I love him, blah, 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 blah. And so that reminded me of this Veronica quote. So the next is the worst thing that has ever happened to me, and it was called Riverdale Heathers. Heathers is one of my favorite musicals, and when Riverdale did it, it broke something in me. It really did. The worst was how they changed the lyrics to a lot of the songs. I get some parts having to change the lyrics because it is a bit raunchy, but this specific line,
If you lack the juice, go play duck, duck, goose. Let your mommy fix you ice cream. Wow. Or come hang with me, and tonight we'll be dirty dancing with the football team.
was unnecessary. The original line was, or you could come smoke, pound some rum and coke in my Porsche with the quarterback, which isn't appropriate, but it's not too bad, considering in a few scenes later, one of the main characters is trying to have a threesome on the school stage with 2 of the other characters. So I think they can talk about smoking and drinking with the quarterback. That's just me. Call me a heathen. I don't know. But that line really hurt me. But for that, I've chosen Sloane from Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. This is probably one of my favorite YA contemporaries. It is about a girl named Emily whose best friend Sloane disappears, and Sloane was always sort of like the outgoing, like adventurous one in their friendship, and Emily was pretty reserved. And when Sloane goes missing, it's not like a murder mystery. I remember starting to read this and I was like, oh, she's been kidnapped, because that's just who I am. But no, she just sort of left. She leaves Emily this sort of to-do list, bucket list of things she should do while Sloane is gone that try to get her out of her shell, and things like kiss a stranger, go apple picking at night, dancing at dawn, go skinny dipping, stuff like that. She really tries to get Emily out of her shell and to experience new things, and that is just what Heather was doing. She just wanted Veronica to come hang with her, pound some rum and coke in her Porsche with the quarterback. So that's what made me think of it. Okay, the next line is really something special. Veronica and Reggie, who's the guy that says this quote, slept together, and then she was sort of like, hey, I kind of like you, I kind of maybe want to get back together, or maybe that's what he considered getting back together. Anyway, then he finds out, oh, this is also from the Riverdale Heathers episode anyway, so this whole episode was just terrible. But he finds out that Veronica's parents are getting divorced, and so he decides to deliver this beautiful line, and it is, you wanted to get back together because your parents are Splitsville. So we love a sensitive king. For this quote I chose Lou from Serpent and Dove. She is extremely blunt and can be largely insensitive. She doesn't have any bad intentions, which Reggie didn't either, but Lou just says what's on her mind. She just kind of just says it, what everyone else is thinking, but in unique words. So that's why I chose this one. The next one.
You gave me the kiss of life, Archie Andrews. Now I've given it to your dad.
Where do I begin with this one? The fact that this was actually said, I don't even know. This was season 2, episode 1. So it didn't even self-destruct really yet. I guess maybe this line is when it started to go downhill. That would make a lot of sense. But for this one, I've chosen Juliette from Shatter Me. Specifically in Imagine Me, the last book. If you've read it, you understand me, and you probably think this is funny. If you haven't, you're probably thinking I'm crazy, but let me explain. So Juliette's the main character. She's in love with this guy named Aaron Werner, and his dad is the archvillain of the series. He is the leader of, it's a dystopian, and he is the leader of what is like the alternative government in this thing that they're trying to rebel against. So he's like the alternate villain. They kill him like 6 times, then he keeps coming back. Anyway, in the last book, he kidnaps Juliette and brainwashes her, or sort of erases her memory and then brainwashes her to be like his little soldier. And while she's brainwashed, she consistently notices how attractive he is, and probably because he looks like Aaron, he looks like the son that she loves. And so she literally says it out loud one time, and it's so funny. And there's this really weird part where he tells her to get on her knees, but it's like to be, you know, like a dick, but I'm reading it like, ooh, okay. And so that is what I connect with this quote. Eventually she gets her memories back. Thank God. Spoilers, by the way. Oh my God, spoilers for Imagine Me if you haven't read it. I'll put a note.
Dude, what the hell happened? How'd you get those scars?
I was attacked by a bear.
So I couldn't really think of this one, but I wanted to include it because what a quote. And so I started to think either that kid from Touching Spirit Bear, which was a book I had to read in 6th grade. Did anyone else have to read that? It was so weird. It was like a survival book about a boy who's having to survive, and he gets like a spiritual awakening, and there's a bear. So I don't even know. Percy Jackson, I feel like, might connect to this quote. I don't know. I don't know if he was ever attacked by a bear, but he'd definitely be the type to be like, oh, I was attacked by this thing. Okay, and lastly,
Wild card. I am the daughter of the Black Hood, the nightmare from next door. I'm training with the FBI, and I'm coming for you, you psycho bitch.
What a doozy this one is. I've chosen for this one actually a TV show character, and that is Siever from Criminal Minds, because her only personality trait is reminding everyone that she is the daughter of a serial killer, and that's it. That's literally the only reason she was on the team. That's the only reason she speaks half the time, is to be like, my dad was a serial killer. Don't forget he killed 25 people. And I felt bad for her because that's terrible, but she was an awful character. And that reminded me of Betty, because she's the daughter of the Black Hood, and Siever was the daughter of the Redmond Ripper. So there we go. So that's it. Once again, I don't know why I made this. I'm just so ashamed of watching it, and I thought I'd have to do something with these things that haunt me every day, and if I have to know them, so do you. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want. Have a great rest of your week. Bye!